Let's start it with our first news. Joe Rogan recently shared his thoughts on the highly anticipated rematch between Alex Pereira and Ankalaev, and this time, to the surprise of many fans, he's leaning toward Pereira. Rogan broke down the first fight in detail and explained why he believes this rematch could play out very differently. According to Rogan, Pereira was far from his best during their first encounter. The Brazilian knockout artist is known worldwide for his devastating left hook, his signature weapon, but reports later revealed that he entered the fight with an injury to his left hand. On top of that, Pereira was said to have been dealing with the aftereffects of the coronavirus during his training camp. Both factors, Rogan argued, would have had a serious impact on his preparation, cardio, and overall performance inside the cage. When you really look back at that fight, Rogan said, Alex didn't look like himself. He was hesitant to throw, and his usual confidence just wasn't there. Even though he managed to stuff all of Ankalaev's takedown attempts, he looked uncomfortable and couldn't find his rhythm on the feet. His striking output was limited, and you could tell something was off. Rogan emphasized how important Pereira's left hook is to his overall game. That left hook is the doom punch. That's the one he lands on everybody. If you look at his highlight reel, it's everywhere. Fighters just crumble when he connects. Even when he grazed Jamal Hill, it still dropped him. Against Yuri Prochazka, we saw the same thing. He has that kind of power where even a glancing shot can change a fight completely. He went on to explain that while Pereira managed to find some late success in the first fight, landing calf kicks and slowly opening up in the fifth round, he simply didn't have the gas tank to sustain his offense. If you're coming off the coronavirus, your cardio is shot. You feel drained, your energy levels are low, and you just don't have the same explosiveness. Add the left hand injury on top of that, and it makes sense why Pereira looked so tentative. He was conserving energy, and without his most dangerous weapon, he couldn't put Ankalaev in real danger. Now, heading into the rematch, Rogan believes the circumstances have changed. Pereira is reportedly healthy, training hard, and has been dedicating significant time to improving his wrestling defense. If he's able to keep the fight standing and throw with full confidence, Rogan thinks fans will see a completely different version of Poatan. This fight could look nothing like the first one, Rogan explained. A healthy Pereira, with his left hook in full effect, is one of the most dangerous strikers in the UFC, and if he's added more layers to his takedown defense, then Ankalaev won't be able to make him hesitant. That's when Pereira becomes a real problem. Interestingly, Pereira has already hinted at future plans beyond this fight. Win or lose, he has revealed an interest in moving up to heavyweight and potentially facing the winner of Aspinall vs Syracuse. With his size, striking power, and willingness to challenge himself, the move could make sense, and Rogan agreed that Pereira's frame could easily handle the jump to another weight class. Ultimately, Rogan's breakdown makes one thing clear: the Pereira we saw in the first fight may not be the Pereira who shows up in the rematch. With a healthy hand, improved wrestling defense, and full cardio, fans might finally see the true Poatan unleashed against Ankalaev. Before we jump into the next story, we have a small favor to ask. If you're enjoying the content, please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell icon. It really helps us out, and ensures you'll never miss an update. Move on to another news. Former UFC light heavyweight champion Yuri Prochazka has opened up about an unexpected encounter with his upcoming opponent, Rountree, at the UFC Performance Institute just days before their highly anticipated fight at UFC 320. In an interview with Shock MMA, Prochazka revealed how the run-in played out and how it gave him a clearer picture of his opponent's true character. Prochazka explained that while training with his team in Las Vegas during fight week, he unexpectedly crossed paths with Rountree. To his surprise, Rountree greeted him in a friendly, casual manner, simply saying, "Hi, Yuri." The exchange seemed normal and respectful, but it left Prochazka conflicted given the trash talk Rountree had posted online in the weeks leading up to their bout. "When I was at the PI, my first day here in Vegas, we trained with my team," Prochazka recalled. "He went out of the gym, and he said to me, 'Hi Yuri,' just like a normal hello. But I didn't believe it at first, because of what he wrote on Twitter and the things he said online. I just looked at him, wanting to see him for who he really was." Prochazka admitted that in that moment, he realized there was a disconnect between the online persona and the man standing in front of him. "He just said hello like a normal guy," Yuri continued. "And then I realized that all those things he wrote on the internet, all that trash talk, that's not really him. It was just part of the promotion, part of the fight game. In person, he was respectful." The tension between the two has added intrigue to what is already a pivotal fight in the light heavyweight division. With Alex Pereira and Ankalaev set to battle for the title, the winner of Prochazka vs Rountree could find himself right in the mix for a future title opportunity. However, the situation is complicated by the emergence of Carlos Ulberg, who has been surging up the rankings with impressive wins. Ulberg, viewed as fresh blood in the division, could leapfrog both Prochazka and Rountree given that they have already had chances near the top. Rountree enters the matchup riding strong momentum, with his striking power and improved composure making him one of the most dangerous threats in the division. Prochazka, on the other hand, remains a fan favorite known for his unorthodox style, relentless pace, and warrior-like mindset. Their collision at UFC 320 is being billed as one of the most exciting non-title title fights on the card, and it has major implications for the division's future. The light heavyweight landscape could shift dramatically depending on how the upcoming title fight between Pereira and Ankalaev plays out. If Pereira wins, many expect a trilogy with Ankalaev, which could delay opportunities for other contenders. On the other hand, a decisive result could open the door for fresh challengers like Prochazka, Rountree, or Ulberg to step into the spotlight. Regardless of what happens next, Prochazka made it clear that he is not distracted by Rountree's past online comments. Instead, he is focused on the version of his opponent he met face-to-face. "I just want to be present, see him, and understand who he really is," Yuri concluded. "At the end of the day, everything else is just noise. In the octagon, we'll find out the truth." UFC 320 is shaping up to be a critical night for the light heavyweight division, and Prochazka's clash with Rountree could play a huge role in determining who rises to challenge for UFC gold next. Move on to another news. Arthur Jones, the former NFL defensive lineman and Super Bowl champion with the Baltimore Ravens, has passed away at the age of 39. His death occurred at his home in Syracuse, New York, after emergency services were dispatched on Friday morning. Jones had a known heart condition and was fitted with a pacemaker, which alerted his doctor to an emergency. Despite the swift response, he had already passed by the time medical assistance arrived. Jones's football journey began in upstate New York, where his talent quickly stood out at Syracuse University. As a defensive force for the Orange, he recorded 38.5 tackles for loss, a school record for an interior defensive lineman, and twice earned first-team All-Big East honors. His impact at Syracuse extended beyond statistics. He became a leader and mentor to teammates, a role he carried proudly long after his playing days. Syracuse athletic director John Wildhack reflected on Jones's contributions, saying, "Arthur Jones was a tremendous player and an even better person. He continued to support our football program after his playing career, impacting countless student-athletes with his smile, encouragement, and uplifting words." In the 2010 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens selected Jones in the 5th round. What followed was a career marked by perseverance, resilience, and championship glory. Over 4 seasons in Baltimore, Jones established himself as a reliable defensive presence. His defining moment came during Super Bowl 47, where the Ravens defeated the San Francisco 49ers. Jones delivered a career highlight on football's biggest stage, sacking quarterback Colin Kaepernick and recovering a fumble just before the infamous power outage in the New Orleans Superdome. That sequence proved vital in the Ravens' eventual 34-31 victory, forever cementing Jones's place in franchise history. After his Super Bowl run with Baltimore, Jones signed with the Indianapolis Colts, where he played 3 seasons, and later spent time with Washington before retiring in 2017. By the end of his career, he had recorded 10 total sacks, with 8.5 of them coming during his peak years between 2012 and 2013. Coaches and teammates praised his toughness and consistency, qualities that defined his approach to the game. But for all of his achievements on the field, Jones's true legacy was the way he touched people's lives. Known for his infectious smile, positive energy, and unwavering kindness, he left an impression everywhere he went. Baltimore Ravens general manager Eric DeCosta issued a heartfelt statement following his passing. "Arthur's presence was a gift to everyone he encountered. His big, bright smile, infectious energy, and eternal positivity uplifted others continuously. He was kind, courteous, and enthusiastic, always showing love for family, teammates, and friends. We send our deepest condolences to the Jones family and all who loved Arthur." Arthur's story was also part of one of the most remarkable athletic families of this generation. His younger brothers, Jon Jones and Chandler Jones, both achieved stardom in their respective sports. Jon is widely regarded as one of the greatest fighters in UFC history, while Chandler became a Super Bowl champion with the New England Patriots. Together, the Jones brothers built a sporting legacy that inspired countless fans. At just 39 years old, Arthur Jones's passing is a tragic reminder of life's fragility. Yet his legacy is one of resilience, joy, and enduring positivity. From his college dominance at Syracuse to his unforgettable Super Bowl performance with Baltimore, and most importantly, through the kindness he showed to others, Jones leaves behind a legacy that will continue to resonate far beyond the football field. Move on to another news. On a recent episode of The Joe Rogan Experience, featuring special guest Michael Venom Page, Rogan turned his attention to one of the most anticipated fights on the UFC 320 card, the co-main event between Merab Dvalishvili and Corey Sandhagen. The matchup, which has major implications for the bantamweight title picture, led Rogan into a detailed breakdown of both fighters and what makes this clash so intriguing. Rogan began by highlighting the unusual and almost baffling training habits of Merab Dvalishvili, the current champion. Unlike most professional athletes who rely on structured routines, advanced recovery methods, and carefully monitored sleep schedules, Merab operates in his own unique way. According to Merab himself, he doesn't warm up or stretch like a normal athlete, Rogan explained. He just walks into the gym, hits the mats, and starts going hard right away. No sauna, no ice baths, no stretching, none of the things you hear about from other fighters. On top of that, Rogan pointed out that Dvalishvili doesn't keep the kind of disciplined sleep schedule expected of elite-level fighters. He apparently stays up until 1 or 2 in the morning before finally going to bed, Rogan said with a laugh. The whole routine is totally contrary to everything we've heard about recovery and athletic performance. But somehow, despite all that, he's got what might be the greatest cardio in UFC history. Indeed, Dvalishvili's pace is relentless. Over the years, he has shattered numerous UFC wrestling records, including the most takedowns landed in a single fight. His ability to maintain pressure and outwork opponents has made him one of the most feared competitors in the division. Rogan described him as a fighter with zero quit, recalling his bout against Marlon Moraes as a prime example. In that fight, Merab was nearly finished in the first round, essentially out on his feet. Yet, he recovered, pushed forward with his trademark aggression, and ultimately stopped Moraes. "You have to put him out completely," Rogan stressed. "Even when he was choked unconscious before, he kept moving, kicking, and fighting. There's just no quit in that guy. He's a monster. He's a beast. And what's scary is that he's still getting better." Turning his attention to Corey Sandhagen, Rogan was equally complimentary, describing him as one of the most technically gifted strikers in the division. "Corey is one of the best point fighters in MMA. He's slick, he's technical, and he's extremely hard to hit clean. His striking is beautiful to watch, calculated, precise, and efficient." However, Rogan emphasized that MMA is not just about technical striking. This isn't kickboxing or boxing. When you add Merab's wrestling, that insane cardio, and his ability to push the pace for 5 straight rounds, it becomes a completely different kind of fight. Corey's skills are elite, but dealing with a guy who never stops coming at you, that's a whole other challenge. The clash between Dvalishvili and Sandhagen represents the classic stylistic matchup, the relentless wrestler versus the slick striker. Both men are in their primes, both are elite, and both are determined to stake their claim for the bantamweight title. For Rogan, what makes the fight so fascinating is not just their skill sets, but the contrast in mentality and preparation. "Merab is still a project," Rogan concluded. "As good as he is right now, better than almost everybody, he's not done evolving. That's terrifying for the division." With UFC 320 approaching, fans are eager to see if Sandhagen's technical mastery can withstand Dvalishvili's unrelenting pace, or if the machine will once again prove why he is one of the most indestructible forces in MMA. Move on to another news. Joe Rogan recently weighed in on one of the hottest what-if conversations in MMA, a potential heavyweight clash between Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall. While Jones is widely regarded as one of the greatest fighters of all time, Rogan highlighted a key weakness in his game that could become glaringly obvious against the rising British star. Speaking on his podcast, Rogan explained that Jones, despite his legendary resume, has never been known for his raw speed or explosive agility. That, he argued, could spell trouble against Aspinall, a fighter who combines the size and power of a natural heavyweight with the fluid movement and quickness of a much smaller man. "Jones would be comfortably outmatched in terms of speed and agility," Rogan said. "Tom Aspinall is a nightmare for someone like him." Rogan praised Aspinall's unique skill set, noting that his athleticism at 250 pounds is something rarely seen in the division. "Aspinall is not just a big guy who moves slow. He's incredibly fast, and he carries real knockout power in both hands. Add to that the fact that he's hard to take down, and you've got a problem that even someone like Jon Jones would struggle to solve." Jones, of course, has dominated opponents throughout his career by blending creativity, fight IQ, and reach advantage with a versatile skill set. But Rogan stressed that at heavyweight, Jones may not enjoy the same physical advantages he had during his reign at light heavyweight. "There's no way Aspinall could ever make 205, Rogan said. "He's a natural heavyweight, and that means his speed and strength come in a much bigger frame than Jones has ever dealt with before." According to Rogan, the biggest challenge for Jones in this matchup would be the gap in speed and explosiveness. While Jones is durable, strategic, and technically brilliant, he has rarely faced an opponent who can match or exceed his timing and movement. Against Aspinall, that dynamic could shift. "This is the kind of fight where John's biggest weakness becomes a real liability," Rogan explained. "When you're dealing with a heavyweight who moves that fast, who hits that hard, and who doesn't slow down, it's a nightmare scenario." The discussion comes at a time when Jones has announced his intention to make a comeback, aiming for a spot on the historic UFC card rumored to take place at the White House. The possibility of Jones fighting in such a monumental event has fans buzzing, though UFC President Dana White has reportedly expressed hesitancy about matching Jones against Aspinall. Still, as Rogan noted, the fight world is unpredictable, and with months to go before the event, plans could change quickly. For now, the idea of Jones versus Aspinall remains a hypothetical, but it's one that has captured the imagination of MMA fans worldwide. Could Jones, the master strategist and longtime champion, find a way to neutralize Aspinall's speed and size? Or would Aspinall's combination of power and athleticism prove too much, ushering in a new era for the heavyweight division? Rogan left the question open, framing it as one of the most intriguing potential matchups in modern MMA. "It's fascinating," he said. "Jon Jones has always been the puzzle no one could solve, but Tom Aspinall might be the guy who has the tools to do it." With Jones' return on the horizon and the UFC eyeing one of the most ambitious events in its history, fans will be eagerly watching to see if this dream fight ever makes its way from speculation into reality.